The way that Donald Trump speaks about the Democratic Party, the way that Donald Trump speaks about people who disagree with him, has normalized this extremist rhetoric. He said that we were gnats who need to be taken care of in front of the military. But the point is, a lot of young people are being sucked into this Nick Fuentes pipeline. I don't think the Republican Party, the old guard, is ready for what's about to smack them in the face with this new guard.
This week, political commentator Adam Mockler joined Abby Phillips' CNN program, which was guest hosted by Sarah Seidner. The discussion centered on the escalating tensions within the MAGA movement, often described as a civil war, and featured controversial figures such as Nick Fuentes. The panel, composed of Ashley Allison, Adam Mockler, Arthur Idler, and Lydia Moahan, offered sharp insights and spirited debate. In this segment, I'll walk you through some of the key moments from their exchange and share my own analysis. Let's take a closer look.
Tonight, an eye-raising quote. Absolute shit show. That is what a senior staffer is calling the Heritage Foundation after its leader, Kevin Roberts, defended Tucker Carlson for hosting white nationalist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes on his podcast. Roberts is now apologizing, but the staffer says Roberts lost control of the organization. There is open rebellion. It is disgust from those there. 85% are totally disgusted. Carlson ignited a civil war inside the Republican Party with that podcast. Right-wing provocateur and close Trump ally Laura Loomer told CNN that Carlson is a poison pill to the GOP and he'll cost the GOP elections in 2026 and 2028. Carlson, however, defended himself today when he spoke with Megyn Kelly.
I personally have watched videos of him questioning the Holocaust, likening it to baking cookies in the oven, and there's no way you could have gotten to 6 million. So what do you say to those people who say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I don't need to prove that I'm a good person to you. You may think I'm a terrible person. Okay, I'm just doing my thing, which is I want to understand what people think. And I'm committed to that, and if you don't like it, don't watch. That's my view. Yep. But that doesn't mean that I share the views.
No apology there from Tucker Carlson. I do want to ask you, Lydia, how destructive this might be for MAGA.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think obviously everyone was shocked and appalled that he would do an interview with somebody who we don't even need to go through everything that Nick Fuentes has said. I am, though, encouraged to see the backlash that all of this is having, that people at Heritage are standing up and condemning that. And of course, that's what Charlie Kirk did so well, was call out that kind of horrible rhetoric and destructive ideology. And so I think there have been so many voices on the right who've been really quick to stand up, condemn it, and say, this does not have a place in the conservative movement. And I think we'll see what happens at Heritage, but I think it's good that Kevin Roberts said, yeah, I screwed up.
Yeah, it took him 3 times to do it, though. He was very much.
And this definitely does have a place somewhere in the conservative.
To do it. Go ahead.
I was there last night.
Yeah.
I do a.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. I do a true crime show with Megyn Kelly. No politics, just legal analysis.
I am learning so much about you today. You're a Democrat and you're a true crime person.
Yeah, well, I am kind of a criminal defense attorney. I don't just play one on TV. And you know, he eloquently, I will say, defended himself. Let me be very clear. As a Sicilian American, I identify so closely with my Jewish brothers and sisters, like very, very closely. Like I fast on Yom Kippur. I have no tolerance for anti-Semitism whatsoever. So I went into last night not with an open mind, but I wanted to hear what Tucker had to say. And I mean, he made it very clear last night that he absolutely believes in the Holocaust, that it took place, that he hates Nazism.
Thank God he made that clear.
That's an incredibly low standard to set. Saying Tucker Carlson believes in the Holocaust isn't exactly a moral achievement. It's the bare minimum of decency, setting the bar that Lowe speaks volumes about how far the conversation has fallen.
Said it over. I mean, he spent like 20 minutes on it.
Right.
I love that we have to clarify this.
But he was very friendly with Nick Fuentes.
Okay, so here's his retort. Here's his retort.
Push him at all.
And I was very friendly with Vladimir Putin.
No.
I'm just telling you what he said last night. He said, I was very friendly with Vladimir Putin. He said, I may mess this up, but I've interviewed, I think it was like, I don't want to mess it up, but some tribe it was a cannibal tribe, that they were eating their own people. They were eating flesh. And I interviewed them, and they were horrible. I interviewed Charles Manson. I've interviewed a lot of horrible, mean, terrible people, and I've never gotten the reaction, and I didn't think I was going to get the reaction. And the reason why he brought him on was Fuentes, on his own, attacked Tucker Carlson's father, wife, and child. And Tucker was enraged, and the way he targeted his anger was to have him on his podcast.
Wait, so he was so enraged, he decided to have a friendly interview with Nick Fuentes. The problem, listen, the problem is not that he held the interview, it's that he normalized this type of ideology. I think the Republican Party is for the first time being forced to face the monster that they've created in Nick Fuentes. Throughout my entire youth, I've watched Donald Trump normalize, not Nick Fuentes' rhetoric, but a type of extremist rhetoric that the U.S. has never seen before. Now, that is manifesting in the GOP, or at least Tucker Carlson and big wings of the GOP, welcoming in. Tucker Carlson is welcoming in somebody who believes the Holocaust didn't happen, or he thinks if it did happen, it was a good thing. He thinks that black people deserve less rights, women deserve less rights.
You can't say that about Donald Trump.
The Republicans do not.
About Jewish people with Donald Trump.
That's how I'm saying.
He wore a yarmulke at his daughter's wedding.
The way that Donald Trump speaks about the Democratic Party, the way that Donald Trump speaks about people who disagree with him, has normalized this extremist rhetoric. He said that we were gnats who need to be taken care of in front of the military. But the point is, a lot of young people are being sucked into this Nick Fuentes pipeline. I don't think the Republican Party, the old guard, is ready for what's about to smack them in the face with this new.
Adam Mockler is absolutely right. In modern American history, we haven't seen rhetoric this toxic or divisive from a political leader in decades, perhaps not since the turmoil of the mid-20th century. You'd have to go back generations, even to the era of segregation and open racial division, to find anything remotely comparable. Donald Trump has become one of the most destructive and polarizing forces in contemporary politics. His influence has normalized extremist behavior, emboldening figures like Nick Fuentes and, in a different way, Tucker Carlson, as well as everyday individuals who now feel free to express racist, anti-Semitic, and conspiratorial beliefs that once hid in the shadows. This cultural shift, the sense that people no longer need to hide their most extreme views, is a direct result of Trump's rhetoric and leadership style. I also think there's an important point to be made about Tucker Carlson specifically. During his years at Fox News, there were at least some editorial restraints in place. But once he was removed from the network and moved to independent platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube, those limits disappeared. What we're seeing now is the unfiltered Tucker Carlson, someone far more radical and unapologetically conspiratorial. And yet, as Adam Mockler wryly noted, the bar for moral decency has sunk so low that Carlson's acknowledgement that the Holocaust actually happened is treated as a point of praise. That alone speaks volumes about how degraded the discourse has become. Ultimately, the seeds of this division were planted long before Trump, stretching back to the Newt Gingrich era of the 1990s, when political opponents stopped being seen as rivals and started being cast as enemies. But Trump has taken that hostility to an unprecedented level, using rhetoric reminiscent of Nazi Germany, calling opponents vermin, dogs, and worse. As Mockler correctly observes, the divisiveness we see across America today can be traced, in large part, directly back to Donald Trump's rise and influence.
I'm just curious, just to follow up on that, Adam. There is a thought that because of what happened to Charlie Kirk and how he was killed, that there are people who were sort of in his tent. Charlie Kirk did not, he hated Nick Fuentes. There was a battle between them. And that those people have now moved to support someone like Nick Fuentes. Do you see that happening?
I agree with that analysis. I've been following the rise of Nick Fuentes for a few years. I've been tracking it closely, and Charlie Kirk was a bulwark against this type of far-right extremism. Charlie Kirk would unequivocally condemn the Groypers who came to TPUSA, but I'm telling you, we are now seeing this vacuum filled. We are now seeing people on Instagram Reels post Nick Fuentes and get 500,000 likes with Holocaust denial. And my worry is, J.D. Vance needs to come out and condemn this. J.D. Vance, when the Young Republican group chat leaked of people who were Nazi supporters, muddied the waters. Do you not see the normalization that's happening?
Can I just say one thing that I think the statistic was only like 85% of the people found it problematic. That 15% is like a significant percentage. And it and it's actually enough to start to get traction and go to 20, and then 25%, and then 35%. And so, but God forbid, right? God forbid. But the way you stop it is that you don't allow any space for it.
Moral clarity.
You cannot have, and I know the next talking point is like, well, what about the Democratic side? We can talk about that at one point. Today we're talking about Fuentes.
I mean, we can talk about the guy who was just elected mayor of the city of New York and what he said about my Jewish brothers and
I get
sisters.
that, but let us handle that.
Did Zordon Manny actually deny the Holocaust? I haven't come across that claim myself. But if he did, that would be deeply troubling.
What Republicans need to do is identify that 15% that might be in the Heritage Foundation and say, not on our watch. But that also requires, wasn't Nick Fuentes the person who also went and had dinner with the current president right now? So that is what I think Adam is saying, is that there's like these little permission structures where it doesn't just say, no, sir, no, ma'am, not on our watch.
What I would say is J.D. Vance actually has condemned Nick Fuentes, and of course Nick Fuentes has gone after him because he's married to somebody of Indian origin. And what I will say is I'm seeing so many voices in the conservative movement who are condemning this. And I am very encouraged by that, the fact that people are saying and calling this out and recognizing that the conservative movement is about conserving things worth conserving, and Nick Fuentes does not have a part in that. So I am seeing that tremendously. And I'd also say, I think a lot of Republicans, though, at the same time, are alarmed that, on the left, somebody like Jay Jones, who said he wants to see his colleagues' children murdered, 90% of Democrats who voted for him didn't have an issue with those text messages. So I think
they probably had an issue with it. I think it is. I don't think those text messages were acceptable, and I think that that's the moral clarity you have to have now. It's
he
like
apologized.
He apologized. He did.
But even like sometimes you apologize and you still have
Has Trump ever apologized for anything?
But sometimes you do things that are wrong, and an apology takes a little longer to set in. I'm okay acknowledging that. I also think, though, is that we find ourselves, you on the first block, you said what we find ourselves doing is Republicans, Democrats, what we have to stop doing is when somebody does something wrong, pivot it to the other side and be like, well, I'm not going to stand up and say this is wrong and totally get rid of it until you do it on your side. That's not what we teach children in kindergarten. That's not what we teach young people. We say a wrong is a wrong and a right is a right.
We are going to come back. We have a lot more to talk about.
Another excellent point from Adam Mockler, and it's one worth emphasizing. Has Donald Trump ever truly apologized for anything? I can't recall a single instance. And that speaks to a much larger issue. This is, in many ways, the political monster that the Republican Party has created. Whether MAGA supporters like Lydia Moahan want to acknowledge it or not, individuals like Nick Fuentes and the extremist worldview he represents are part of their movement's base. As Mockler noted, it's not only younger audiences being drawn into this radicalization online. We're seeing it across generations, from Gen Z to Gen X and even among boomers, a broad spectrum of people influenced by divisive rhetoric and extremist content. So the question becomes, who ultimately wins this Republican civil war? The MAGA wing, embodied by Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, and others? Or does another faction emerge from within the party to challenge them? Because let's be honest, when figures like Nick Fuentes are being labeled as the worst of the worst, yet the so-called mainstream includes Trump and his allies, it raises serious questions about where the moral and political center of the GOP truly lies. What do you think? Who comes out on top in this MAGA civil war? And do you agree with Adam Mockler that Republicans must take responsibility for the movement they've enabled? Share your thoughts in the comments, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth political analysis. I'm Insights Brief. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.